Hi, it's Dawn with Craft Your Nest, and I'm back this week with another video post, and I'm going to show you a layout I did using some scraps. I have been working through this older Echo Park collection, A Walk in the Park, and mixed in with this is a few other crepe paper. I think there might be a little Jenny Bolin in here too. But I have all these scraps, and I don't want to just throw them out. And I am just not a very good card maker, I'll be honest. So I was trying to think of some way that I could incorporate a lot of scraps onto a layout. And so what I decided to do was make a sort of quilt. What I did is I cut down scraps, and I did not have a plan in my head before I started cutting pieces. I started with some of the larger scraps and just pieced around those. And I came up with this little patchwork design. Lots of squares and rectangles in it. I didn't go for any crazy shapes. I didn't throw any hexagons or anything like that in there. But it's just this really fun, bright, kind of to me it's a very patchworky type design. And to go with such a bright background, I've decided to use just some black and white pictures. I needed some sort of balance with all the color that's going to happen in the background to this layout. Now, what I did, move those out of the way. What I did is as I cut a piece, I put just a little square, and I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera, but I put a little square of repositionable adhesive on the back just to hold it in place. What I'm then going to do, what I'm next going to do with this is I'm going to get my ink, and I'm going to ink all of the edges of each of these pieces, and then I'll re-adhere them down with that repositionable adhesive. Then, and you might be able to see it in the corner of the video, I'm going to pull out the sewing machine. I am not the world's greatest sewer by any stretch of the imagination, but I can sew on paper. Sewing on fabric's a little different story, but I can sew on paper. And I went ahead and I loaded it with some brown thread. I'm going to use brown ink and brown thread. We're going to pull this brown throughout the layout, and I'm going to sew just a real basic stitch around each of these, the perimeter of each of these squares and rectangles. And then we'll add the pictures and a little bit of embellishment. I'm not going to do a lot. We're going to let the background stand for itself. So I hope you enjoy. Now I've got my ink and my trusty Tim Holtz ink applicator. Seriously, if you don't have one, buy one. And I'm just going to go through and ink all of the edges on each of these pieces. Okay, now I am done inking all the edges. I've gone around every individual shape, taken that brown ink, inked all the edges. What I'm going to do next is pull out the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch around each of these. So to finish this background, I've got my sewing machine. I said before I'm using brown thread, and I'm just going to do a basic straight stitch around the perimeter of each of these shapes. Well, I am back. I have finished stitching around using my sewing machine. I stitched around the edges of all of these different squares and rectangles on my page, and that is now done. I've cut off the excess little bits of thread, and I'm not sure how well you can see it here on the video, but my lines are not perfectly straight, and I'm okay with that. I was playing around with the orientation of the background, and I liked this way the best. I was playing with my pictures, and this is the way that I want to have it sit. What I did is I went ahead and I matted my two pictures on white cardstock just to give it a little bit of distinction from that background. And to tie it in though, I'm going to go ahead and ink around the edges real quick. So now I have my pictures ready to go. I'm going to adhere them one on top of the other over here on the right hand side of the page. So now I've got my pictures down. I'm going to add a little bit of embellishment. I think I mentioned before I've been using the Echo Park line, A Walk in the Park. This is an older line. I think it's maybe 2 years old now. But I still have a lot of element stickers left. So I'm going to use these photo corners just to tie the pictures, the two pictures together. I'm going to put one down here, the bottom right, and then another one at the top left. I think I might ink these edges as well. I'm going to put my title here, but I want to have a little bit of room for journaling here, and I'm going to use these two stickers. I'm not going to use the whole sticker there. I'm going to tuck some of it under the picture. The B just doesn't work with my theme, so that's going to get put under, and then I'm also going to hide the date.
Growing up in East Alabama, not far from the Georgia line, me and my friends were headed to Atlanta looking for a real good time. Well, it didn't take long to find it. We just opened up our eyes, found us a sweet Georgia peach, and danced with her all night. Sweet Georgia girl, well, you're always on my mind. Sweet Georgia girl, dancing in the warm sunshine. Sweet Georgia girl, think about you all the time. There ain't nothing in the world like a sweet Georgia girl.
I've got my title on, Golfin' Buddies, and that's down and I've pressed it. When I add titles, a lot of times I move them around, sometimes multiple times, when I'm dealing with spacing or just, you know, little tweaks with how they're lined up. So I will put them down very gently at first, and then when I'm done, I make sure that they're firmly adhered to the page. I'm going to finish this with very minimal embellishments. I really want that background to stand out, so I'm not going to do a lot to take away from that. What I'm going to do, and this is from the sticker sheet, is I'm going to use this sticker here to add the date. And I'm going to use 3 buttons, really as my only embellishments beyond these stickers. I'm going to add some thread through the holes, but I'm going to put one here. I'll add one down here and one over here, which gives me a triangle around the pictures. And beyond my journaling, that's all I'm going to do for this one. I really want that background to stand out. And I just finished my journaling, added the date here, a little bit of journaling down there in the corner, and the layout is done. Like I said, I used minimal embellishments because I really wanted this patchwork idea in the background to shine through. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's a great way to use up some scraps, and I'll talk to you next time at Craft Your Nest.